Today we're talking about Neptune problems. Do you have them? And if you do, you're like me. Today we're going to talk about if Neptune is a strong planet in your chart, what kind of challenges you might have, what kind of gifts it might bring. We're also going to talk about what Neptune's relationship with the other planets and whether it harmonizes or doesn't. And then we're going to talk about what is a strong Neptune and how to use it. Also, if you want to dive deeper into Neptune aspects, my course Unlock Your Aspects is still running. We have 2 more weeks live, which means you get access to all 4 weeks as soon as you join of the already recorded videos, including one of the 2-hour lives I did on planetary families that tells you the meaning of every single Neptune aspect to other planets. So we go through it by family. So it's what does Neptune sun mean? What does Neptune moon mean? And then in other parts of the course, I teach the different aspects and how they change the meaning. So that being said, click the link to join. I would love to see you in there, and let's get into our video. What are Neptune challenges? Well, if you have Neptune problems, Neptune can make you spaced out. Okay, so the desire to check out of reality is a Neptune problem. A lot of these problems come with ways to work with them or funnel them into a positive thing. But the problem is checking out, being a space cadet, not wanting to focus on something, getting distracted. The phrase, not all who wander are lost, that's a Neptune problem. And even though you can wonder, sometimes you do need to focus a little bit. And in those times in life where we need to focus, where we need to have clear, confident next steps, this is where Neptune will really get in our way, because Neptune kind of makes you meander a bit. Neptune is like a fog, and it can be harder for people with strong Neptunes in their chart to know if they're going the right way in life. And that's going to be applied to whatever planet or house Neptune is affecting. But in general, Neptune people are a little bit more on the space cadet side. They want to check out from reality. That might show up in the form of like numbing out using substances. It might show up in the form of getting sucked into the TV or getting sucked into movies all the time or living a fantasy life. And it might just be that you've found a healthy way to incorporate fantasy into your life. But the Neptune problems are things like not being able to focus, having so much compassion or such an open aura that you don't know where you end and someone else begins, and getting distracted, not having good boundaries. And what I mean by that is like if you're at a job and you accidentally start doing someone else's job and don't realize that's what you just did, you might have Neptune problems. I'm smiling because I'm just thinking of all the Neptune type shit I've ever done. But really, Neptune problems are lack of focus, meandering. Now, the thing that makes Neptune challenges also gives these beautiful gifts of compassion, of connection, of a desire to have life be more than just this. Right? Of the ability to enchant and to take people to another world and to project an image on a movie screen that isn't real, and to, have a beautiful allure, things that are alluring, things that are, Neptune is like a projection. It's not real, but there's times where it makes sense. Like, we know the video games we're playing aren't real. These are not damaging. Well, I mean, some people could say they are, but when it's not real, it's different than when you're tricking someone, right? So the allure of Neptune and the ability to project an image that isn't real, and the ability to, Neptune kind of numbs as well in it, and it will like kind of, that's one of the challenges, is it can kind of numb. Now, if you're at the dentist, that's not a challenge. That's a gift from the universe, right? So whether it's a challenge or a gift can depend on the scenario. Okay. So Neptune challenges: lack of focus, lack of direction, inability to keep certain boundaries, not knowing if you're on the right path all the time, questioning things more often, not having like a secure, strong, clear thing in whatever Neptune touches, and meandering. Now that meandering sometimes gives you gifts you didn't know you were going to get, right? Sometimes the meandering is the beauty. And When I think of Neptune, a little bit of it reminds me of kind of like when you're driving somewhere versus when you walk. Like if you've ever walked around your own neighborhood, you see things that you never would have seen if you were driving. And that's kind of the way I feel about the little detours Neptune takes us on. Sometimes, though, we just need to get our ass in the car. And that's when Neptune brings a challenge. But when we're talking about enjoying the beauty of life and the imagination and fantasy and, taking someone to another world through art or music, getting lost in things, these are the gifts of Neptune. So now let's talk about how the different planets harmonize or don't harmonize with Neptune. I'm going to go through the sun through Pluto, and I have a list so I don't forget any of them. So we're going to go through the sun to Pluto, and I have a list so I don't forget. And we're going to talk about what it means, whether they go together and why. So Neptune and the sun are not harmonious because the sun is our ego and our confidence and our direction and our vision. And the sun really needs to know what the fuck it's doing. Like if you have Neptune with the sun, it's kind of like you're driving at night and there's something on the headlights, like you can still see, but not all the way. So sometimes the sun Neptune, is it going to have gifts? Sure. You're going to be more compassionate. You're going to be more caring. You're going to be more, you're going to be able to tap into your imagination, but you might struggle with knowing if you're on the right path because Neptune kind of ensures that you won't know. You could be going the exact right way and you might not know. Neptune sun can also give a hit to the confidence at some point in life, or make you wonder more often if you're going the right way, if you're doing the right thing. It'll make you question your own identity. We need our identity to be pretty damn solid. Neptune doesn't help with that. Neptune makes us not know who we are more. It makes us more susceptible to other people's, like if someone told you were rude and maybe you're not rude at all. If you have Sun Neptune, you'll be like, am I rude? You can be too yielding with Sun Neptune and too affected by the energy of others. Okay. So going on to the Moon Neptune is going to be way more harmonious because the moon is yielding and emotional and cares about feelings. And Neptune's going to have that softness and those blurry edges. So Moon Neptune, it doesn't mean you won't have the same challenges the Sun Neptune person can have. It doesn't feel like the Neptune is not as anti what the moon is about. Although Neptune could possibly erode the moon's need for stability sometimes. But the moon waxes and wanes, and Neptune's softness might support that a bit. It can support people with Moon Neptune. Can be it's very much imagination, very much creativity with this one. So Neptune, Mercury, these two are not going to get along because Mercury wants things to be very precise and exact and certain and to speak facts and to be articulate, have the sharp tongue. And Neptune doesn't do any of that shit. Neptune will make you have a dull tongue. That's weird. That metaphor doesn't work. Neptune it's almost like, okay, with Neptune, Mercury, think about when you go to the dentist and you're out of the dentist chair, but you still have the numb on your mouth and like you can't talk right. That's a very extreme example because Neptune could possibly soften Mercury's sharpness in a nice way, right? Someone with Neptune, Mercury, maybe their voice is more like easy to like listen to or something, but Neptune, Mercury is going to be like, not as clear on their plans, have a harder time getting to the point because Neptune will take you down a winding road. And what is it with your communication? It could be beautiful for storytelling. It can be beautiful for transporting someone to another world with your words. But this is like, okay, Neptune, Mercury, I think of these spiritual people I've met who, God love them, when they're telling you a story, you don't even know whether they're talking about something real or fake. Like, they're like, and then I saw a cheetah, and I'm like, are you talking about after you did ayahuasca, or like what? That kind of thing. So that's what I think of with Neptune, Mercury. Neptune, Mercury is going to get a bad rap for just straight up saying things that aren't true, because Neptune distorts, okay, and Mercury is facts. It doesn't mean someone with Neptune, Mercury is lying. It could mean that they have a hard time reporting the facts accurately. And if you ask them about what happened, they might tell you it based on how they feel, not based on what actually happened, if that makes sense. So then, now that can also be a gift, right? Every one of these can be used as a gift. Going on to Venus. Neptune, Venus are very, very harmonious. I would say this is the most harmonious because Neptune sort of adds to Venus's allure, and Venus is like Neptune, Venus. You see this sometimes in artists or creative people's charts, because it's like there's this Venus, which is already alluring and drawing in things to you and lovely and receptive, gets more alluring and more receptive and more soft and more imaginational and more artistic. So you can see aesthetic beauty with this one. You can see creative ability with this one. The ability to take someone to another realm is very strong here. So you can use that. I think of Neptune and Venus also sometimes as like, sometimes I think of people who do any kind of healing work, or like maybe someone who has a really nice voice, or someone who can like change their voice or something, because of Neptune's like fluidity gets put into Venus things. But it can also show up, I think of like, even like hypnotherapy, like the ability to use the senses to take someone to another world. And also sometimes with Neptune, that anesthetic quality can be used to, not everyone with Venus Neptune is going to do this, but it's almost like to make the healing not hurt so bad, right? Neptune can help with that, can make the healing not hurt so bad. So I think of Neptune in charts of people who want to help people, or who want to be counselors, or who want to be, anything where you're helping people change. Neptune will help numb the pain, right? So it's like how that shows up in the person with it is like, you can be the numbing agent. In other words, like when someone else tells them you're not supposed to do that, you're gonna, this is a painful thing. When someone else talks to them about something difficult, the person with Neptune can make it not so bad, or can make it not hurt so bad, or they can do it in a way that is just like a little bit easier for that medicine to go down. That's kind of where I'm going with that. So Neptune, Venus, really good for artists, really good for loveliness, allure, but can also be deceptive. So makeup can be Neptune, Venus as well, because you're deceiving people, based on your appearance, kind of a thing. Okay. Going on to Mars. For Mars, Neptune, these two are not compatible at all, because Mars really wants to come to a sharp point, and Neptune dulls the sharp point of Mars. In life, this looks like not caring, and like not being bothered to get up and do anything, because Mars is our desire to act and how we get what we want. And Neptune makes it more fuzzy, more of a winding path to get what we want, less of a direct path. Now, this can be great for social situations where you need So Neptune, Mars can be great for social situations where you need to kind of make people feel good when you're saying no. So that would be like one of the gifts of it. But in general, Neptune isn't helping Mars. Mars needs to know what's going on. So Mars needs to know who the enemy is, right? Mars is the warrior. He needs to know who the enemy is So you attack the right person. With Mars Neptune, there's confusion there. It's not clear who the enemy is. Or, again, like in transit, if Neptune's hitting Mars, these are the days where you don't want to do anything. Or, with Mars Neptune aspects in the sky, it's like, you just can't be bothered to get up off the bed, or off the couch. But because that Neptune kind of erodes the will, it erodes the willpower. So that's the challenge of Neptune Mars. The potential of Neptune Mars would be like fighting for your spiritual path, or saying no for a spiritual reason, or having a bigger, deeper reason to fight. Okay, Jupiter, Neptune. I'm undecided about whether Jupiter and Neptune go well together or not. Jupiter tends to make whatever it is better, so it's Jupiter, but Neptune dissolves. So the thing I think Neptune and Jupiter can agree on is compassion. And the thing is Neptune is more like feeling bad, feeling everyone's energy, having so much compassion that we're all one. And then Jupiter's compassion is like, I have so much good, I just want, my cup is overflowing. So it's possible that with Jupiter Neptune, the person could be too compassionate, could be giving away too much. But from Jupiter on, remember that these are generational. So it's not going to describe your personality until you need to look at like the house placement. So, and that's true for all of these, that Neptune's going to make the topics of that house more confusing to the person. So like if you have Sun Neptune and the Sun rules your 10th house, then that means your career is going to be a winding road, or Neptune themes are going to come up in your career. If it's your 12th house and you're a Virgo rising, then that means you're self-undoing, your self-sabotage is something you're even more confused about, or you'll go in a winding path to deal with self-sabotaging things. Okay, going back to the planets, now we're on to Saturn. For Saturn, Neptune, this is generational, but it's going to be things like feeling the pain of everyone and everything. Saturn is problems. Neptune is the collective. So it's like the collective pain. You care about the collective pain, and maybe we'll feel a bit more weighed down by collective problems, but also maybe feel a bit more of a need to help those collective problems. And Neptune with Saturn are not compatible, because Neptune and Saturn, to me, the metaphor I like for this is if you have a house on the water, Neptune's going to erode the foundation of that house, and you have to spend more money on the rust, just like maintaining it, because the water erodes the foundation. That's Neptune, Saturn. And sometimes that shows up as an authority lets you down at some point in life. Sometimes it shows up as just feeling, it's feelings, man. Neptune, Saturn is feelings. It's feeling more guilt, feeling more remorse, feeling more pain, but you can still alchemize that and use it. Okay, Neptune, Uranus. These two are not very compatible at all. And if you have Neptune, Uranus, it's like, because Uranus is like our unique side and our genius, and it's sudden and it's independent and it's very direct and very sudden and very all at once, whereas Neptune is like eases in and eases out. Neptune's like the volume knob that you can slowly turn up and slowly turn down, but Uranus is like a light switch that just goes on and off. These two are so different, and I don't have a lot to say about this one other than they're not compatible. Okay, Neptune, Pluto. Lots of people are going to have, everyone kind of has a sextile with Pluto and Neptune. Most people do, and it's just like, how wide is the sextile? So Neptune and Pluto is like the generation we're living through. The Neptune-Pluto sextile is like kind of a part of all of us in a way. Neptune and Pluto have a similarity, and that is change, right? Neptune's going to change things. Pluto's going to also want to transform things. Pluto in a more intense way, Neptune in a more subtle way, and they also have the sort of soul connection, I think, in a way, right? Neptune is like our compassionate side. Pluto's our soul in evolutionary astrology, anyways, our deep soul lessons that we're here to learn. So Neptune, Pluto also I think of visualization. I think of having an image and using that image as a basis of transforming things. It doesn't mean I think visualization is the only thing you can do, but I think with Neptune, Pluto, it's going to tell you how you visualize, whether you like to visualize. It kind of gives us an idea of how we change, right? Because Pluto by sign is generational, and it's like tells us about what that generation went through, what was going on when they were young or when they were born, how society was changing when they were born. And then Neptune is like kind of what needs to be healed almost, where was the healing? Where was the compassion collectively? And then, in our charts, Neptune Pluto is going to be like, you look at the house of Neptune and the house of Pluto. Okay. So going on to what is a strong Neptune? A strong Neptune is going to be, it means it's angular. And when I'm looking at angularity, I'm looking at whole sign. So if you have Neptune in your first house, your fourth house, your seventh house, or your 10th house, that's a strong Neptune. If you have Neptune in a classical aspect to your personal planets, that's the Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Sun, Moon. What did I just say? Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, or Mars. So if Neptune is like conjunct any of those planets, if it's square, if it's opposite, if it's trine, or if it's sextile, that would be a strong Neptune. Especially Sun, Moon, or rising. If Neptune is conjunct your ascendant, that's a very strong Neptune. If Neptune is conjunct any of the other angles, Neptune is strong, but it's not as much about you. It's going to describe the nature of that area of life. So if Neptune's conjunct the IC, that's going to describe your childhood. If it's conjunct the descendant, it's going to describe other people in your life, your significant others, your partners, your really close friends. If Neptune is conjunct the midheaven, it's going to describe your career in a way, like what type of work you do or what you could possibly be known for. If you want to use your strong Neptune for good, you can use a strong Neptune by doing energy work. You can use a strong Neptune by putting your imagination into something positive, like imagining, visualizing, taking the time to learn how you visualize, whether you're a visual person or not, how you manifest, how you bring what you imagine into reality, doing things that require compassion, even something like Buddhism, where it's about the connection to all beings and wanting all beings to be free from suffering. Even if you're not Buddhist, just taking actions on that behalf, putting your energy into something that helps people suffer less. Doing creative work, doing any kind of creative work, because Neptune is something you get lost in. So what happens if you have a strong Neptune is if you don't do any of these things, you're going to get lost in something else, and that something else is going to be, you're going to get lost in the internet. You're going to get lost in video games. You're going to get lost in an online persona that isn't real. You're going to get lost in drugs or alcohol, some other reality that isn't making this one better. So since you have a strong Neptune, you will get lost in something. The question is, what are you getting lost in? And why not make it something that helps people? So another thing you can do with a strong Neptune is connect to mysticism, spirituality, and intuition. And it doesn't mean your intuition is on point just from having a strong Neptune. It can help. It can help because Neptune can kind of dissolve the barriers between you and others, but just having a strong Neptune doesn't mean your intuition is always going to be accurate, but you would have the capacity to develop it and probably more of an interest in it. Okay, so now if you want to know where to use your Neptune or what area of life Neptune is affecting, you want to find out where Neptune is in your chart by house. And I have a video on Neptune through the houses. So go watch that video. I'll put a link to it so you can connect to it. And from there, you can see what Neptune means in the house. And that's one of the things with the outer planets that makes them more personal, is understanding what house it's in. And you can watch that in my video on Neptune through the houses.